Welcome to the Monday edition, and we are live streaming. And we are live streaming, and I'm even doing a little clip on TikTok right now as we speak. Yes, it is the A train, and all I can say is I was a high school basketball junkie this weekend. I took in some of the AVCTL GWAL Challenge, which pitted teams from the Wichita City League against teams from the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail. And you talk about a basketball buffet. I mean, I haven't had it like this since the summer when I went to the I-35 showcase, which was for the girls basketball. In this case, I seen some of the girls, some of the guys, and it was just good all around basketball. My first time attending this event, and I was blown away. Uh, ran into some of the players, ran into some of the coaches, and even as I was there, I didn't get news till later that that very same day, Coach Joe Hour, the coach at Heights, has decided after this season it will be the end of an era. You know all good things have to come to an end, but when you look at Coach Joe Hour, he looks like he has at least another good 10 years left in him. Easily 10 years. Now he may beg to differ, but he looks as if he easily has another 10 years left in him and can coach until he don't want to coach anymore. I guess Saturday was when he decided, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. But he has left a legacy and a contribution. I mean, when you walk through the hollowed halls at Heights High School, you're gonna see names like Lafayette Norwood, Charles Goose Dowdy, Coach Joe Hour. Because that's pretty much in my lifetime all that school has known. Those are just the coaches. I didn't even mention players that have gone through there. Just to name a few: Darnell Valentine, Antoine Carr, James Carr, Aubrey Sherrod, Perry Ellis, T.J. Williams. You see how I took the old and brought it on up to the new? I mean, even the current players that they have right now. Let me mention their names as well too: Chase Roberts, Malachi Wilkins, just to name a few. When I say I had the opportunity to hang out with some people and meet and greet people, I was basically hanging out with some of the Heights basketball players. And I'm pretty, well, besides Chase, I know some of those other players didn't know me, but the interaction was great. It was as if there was a level of acceptance, like, hey, we accept you. We know you're a basketball. And to hear them breaking down games because they're probably there scouting their future opponent, which was Wichita Northwest, who, by the way, got took their first loss against another team that they faced that was undefeated in Derby Boys High School. Keep an eye on that team. Uh, they like to have a very special season brewing. They have one player on their team, and I'm going to mention his name, Jack Uwelling, who is a miracle and a testament. His story was shared last year, and I'm gonna get him on my podcast version because I definitely want him to tell his story. He's a true man, a true inspiration. Seriously, a true inspiration based on a which could have been a career-ending injury that he suffered in his childhood, but because of his determination and his faith, technically he was not supposed to be able to walk again, let alone be playing basketball. I mean, every time I think about a story, I'm inspired to just go ahead and push on through my little aches and pains because what he went through is far worse than what I've gone through. but he's playing the game that he loves at a high level. That Derby program, they like to have a special season brewing. Them, along with their girls team, could probably end up playing at CKA, which is Charles Koch Arena, come March. We're gonna keep our eye on them. Coach Brett Flory is doing a good job with them boys out there. Not to mention the girls' side, Coach Brian Chadwick. You know I have got to put a plug in for them. I mean, that's the reason I'm watching high school basketball, because of him and Coach Joe Jackson at Made South. They invite me to games, and I've been going ever since then. Every chance that I get a chance to go, I'm at a game somewhere. They got me so indoctrinated into the game. I even went to football games this past season. But we're talking basketball, because there were some stellar performances that I got to see. Unfortunately, I didn't get to make the Friday games. They had games spread out due to inclement weather, but Saturday they all converged back at uh, Hartman Arena. And my day actually started even before I got there to Hartman Arena, because I want to tell you, it is very important that we support these young people. My day started at Resurrection School up on 49th and North Woodlawn. So we know that's not a high school. But they got some young men there playing basketball, and it started with one William Buckner. And I wish I had a way to post photos up on here while I'm doing this video. That would be very nice if I could do that. Uh, However, I can't. But all I'm gonna say is keep your eyes on him. Uh, I'm gonna see here. I got a call coming in. See if I can pipe him in. Uh, Hello, is this Ed Nunez?
It is the one and only. Well, there might be more than one, but yeah, the one from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the
The
land
the land of
of entrapment.
entrapment.
Yes, I'm still here. They still trap me, man. Been 62 years.
Well, you caught me in the middle. I'm actually doing the video side of this podcast, but we got your audio. So guess what? I'm gonna roll with that.
It sounds good to me, man.
I'm gonna roll with that. So,
I know why you're calling, and I'm ready.
y'all can't see his face. He probably did that on purpose. Yeah, studio audience, they having a blast with that one.
I got a face for radio. They tell me, but that's okay.
Anyway, so y'all, this is our first time doing this. I'm y'all can see my face. I was just talking about some of the high school basketball action here, so I know you're not kind of in tune to that just yet. But if you keep watching me, you're gonna be knowing people. I'm like, yeah, tell me about such and such. I heard she did this, but yeah, I was just telling them, I went to the games Saturday, and there were some stellar performances. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of skim through this, because I want to get to the news of the day. But one of the some of the performances I want to point out: Zoe Franklin, uh, 38 points, lit Andover Central up for 38 points, and the variety of ways in which she scored. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm a indoctrinate Ed. Ed, around here, I don't know what it's like out there in New Mexico, but around here, Kansas has a slew of talented young ladies at the high school level in all classes, from freshmen all the way up to seniors. And it's amazing how the underclassmen is really carrying this banner. When I just mentioned Zoe Franklin last year, she was a 20-point a game scorer as a freshman playing at a 2A school. Now she's at a 5A school, averaging well over 30 points a game. You can say wow right there.
No, you know what? That's we got some great high school girls performers here in Albuquerque as well. One girl's Sydney Benali signed with Princeton, then reneged on that and is going to go to BYU. Another girl, Bella Hines, was signed with LSU. Playing for ABC Prep here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we've got some good performers here as well in the state of New Mexico, and the girl averaging over 30 points a game is that's. I'd love to see what her game is like.
Oh man, if you see her game, you will be blown away. There was another young lady. She's up the road in a town called Derby, which is I call it an extension of Wichita. But They might not like me saying that, but I always show up at their game so that I can get a free pass. And her name is Michaela Askew, and there's something about her in arenas. Last time I seen her in arena was at Charles Koch Arena, home of our beloved Wichita State Shockers. You heard about them before.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
of course.
and she lit up Washburn Rural. Of course, they had their star player. Their star player is Maddie Vickery. She had 25 that game, but Michaela had 35 that game. Well, fast forward here at Hartman Arena, she light up Wichita Southeast for 31 points. There's something about her in arenas. It's just like the light goes off and it's like she's on the grand stage. So those are two names I can give you. Now I'm gonna give you two other names. Uh, Peyton Converse, who plays at Andover Central, the team that Capon played, which Zoe is a member of the Capon team. Uh, her and her teammate Taylor Tabor, they scored 20 and 28 points. And I mean, that was the thing that did Capon in. They just didn't have enough firepower outside of Zoe Franklin. But man, there is some talented young ladies around here, and you would be those names I just mentioned to you. You would probably be hearing, especially Zoe Franklin and Michaela Askew. But the news of the day.
Just one quick question. Askew, that's no relation to Vincent Askew, is it? That used to play in Memphis. No relation there.
You know what? I haven't. Wait a minute. You know what? Because I just talked to her Saturday. Now that you mentioned that, and she said something about her grandfather will be installed as a bishop here shortly, and it's going to be somewhere in Tennessee. So who knows? It might
Yeah, that
be.
might have been. Yeah, Vincent Askew was a five player at Memphis back in the day, and also played in the pros a little bit
That
for Seattle.
that may
Good player.
explain the genes in her because hey, her coach described her like this. To see her move on the court and her long strides, it's like she's like a gazelle, and she can pretty much just about play any position from 1 to 5. She stands about 6'1", I do believe, but I mean she moves so gracefully.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt there, but that just name just kind of
I'm,
struck a little memory chord in me.
you know what? I'm going to do my research, and I will find out. And next time, hopefully, we can get you up on the video stream because you got that link, right?
I did, yeah, somewhere in my computer. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure I do. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say if you want to, you can try to pull that link up. And we can do this while you know what I mean. But uh, yeah, the news of the day. I'm pretty sure something told me that this would happen, and I think Jones knew that he wasn't going to bring McCarthy back, so he was at the table just playing tiddlywinks, like I'm gonna throw these numbers out, probably knowing in the back of his head it wasn't going to match with what McCartney wanted as far as the length of. And if you notice how Jones always does this, even with Dak, with CD, with Micah probably coming up, it always the figures might be right, but the length is always off. I guess that's what happens when you're an old man. No. You didn't hear that part.
That's probably true. Yeah. A little more hazy, and I know that.
So, what's your take on the whole Mike McCarthy not coming back to Dallas? Did you see that coming, or did you think he would be back?
I'll be honest with you. When they beat Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago, I told one of my friends who's not a fan of McCarthy. I said, "There's his extension right there." They've got a lot of players injured. The team didn't look like it had quit on him, and they won what 4 or 5 games or three. With Cooper Rush, they had won some games. I thought he's a good look. Look, he's a good coach. He won't be unemployed long. Then Jerry Jones doesn't give the Chicago Bears permission to talk to him. He says yes, then he says no. So I said, okay, well, he's coming back. That's obvious. So I was a little surprised today. I didn't expect that. And, again, even when he was hired, I remember thinking that's about as good as it gets. I was hoping, I don't know what I hoped for when Garrett left, but I said the guys won a Super Bowl. So that gave me a little bit of hope. He's won 12 games 3 years in a row. So you didn't get where we wanted to as Dallas fans, and it's been a long time since 1996 since they've even made an NFC Championship appearance. So yeah, I was surprised. Now I've got some theories to throw out for you. I've heard all day long, and I don't think any of these, Deion Sanders is not going to happen.
That no, you know what that calls for.
What's that?
I had to hit the laugh button on that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Now, Stephen A. Smith, right away, Deion Sanders, right? Now, they'd have to. Now, Deion said, if I'm going to coach in the pros, I want to coach my sons. So, they'd have to draft Shador at 10. At number 10, is that where they're drafting now? I don't know what their position is. And even if he's available, and then eat the money with Dak, and they would take a huge cap hit, that's not going to happen. Second theory is my second theory is this, and I don't think this is going to happen either. The Steelers move on from Mike Tomlin, and the Cowboys hire him. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's as far-fetched as some might think.
I sent you that soundbite on Mike Tomlin. He said, I know they say never, but never.
Yeah, I like Coach Tomlin. I
do too.
I don't think that's going to happen. Although the Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2015, I don't think that's out of the realm. I don't. Now, okay, so the third thing I've got is, I've got some other things. Mike Zimmer, Jerry loves those puppets. He likes, I don't see that happening. I don't, but it's a possibility because Zimmer is, he's there. He's the defensive coordinator. He's coached in the pros at Minnesota with some success. I don't see that happening. I don't, but you can't dismiss it. The other two candidates that I think they'll look at are Kellen Moore, who's the offensive coordinator at Philadelphia, and then Al Harris, the defensive backs coach with the Cowboys. Al Harris, I think, will stay there no matter who the head coach is. He relates well to the players, so I don't think he's going anywhere. He might get a shot. I don't see that. He might go look for Kellen Moore. Now, the guy that I like, though, Anthony, who I really want them to take a real hard look at is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions, who's going to be very, very sought after.
And that's the general sentiment of some Dallas Cowboy fans, Ben Johnson. The question, though, is, do Ben Johnson want to deal with Jerry Jones? Because right now, he is very selective about where he wants to go. He already turned down the Jets. And he let it be known. He said, the reason I'm not interested in the Jets is because their quarterback situation isn't stable. So he could easily, if he's talking about the Jets like that, he can easily say, I don't want to deal with the Cowboys because their upper management isn't stable. Now, maybe that's what it might take for Jerry Jones for the light to finally pick for someone to call him out like that.
That's a good point. Now look at the jobs that are available. Aaron Rodgers, may or may not come back to the Jets. So that's probably, and the Jets are a mess. Even when they get the call Robert Saleh, the team is a mess. They were not very well coached the remainder of the season. So they got the Jets job, but they just filled the Patriots job. Jacksonville needs a coach. Do you think he's going to go, with Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't been very good? He hasn't been good there. Who else needs a coach? I'm trying to think of who else. The Raiders. Okay, so the Raiders don't have a quarterback. Now, Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback. Yes, he had some injuries this season. He was the runner-up MVP last year. This is the Dallas Cowboys. This isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars. This isn't the Houston Texans. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals. This is the Dallas Cowboys. And you have to look at it like it's the Laker job, it's the Celtic job, it's the Yankees.
And that's the thing, though. Yeah. I hate to cut you off, but that's the thing. Jerry Jones is playing that card like, we're the Dallas Cowboys, and anybody ought to be glad. The average person would be glad to come to Dallas, minus Jerry.
I get that, but it's still the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you're Johnson, you're going to say, well, I'd rather go to Jacksonville. Yes, it's a challenge, though. Okay, so if you're that guy, if you're the coach, and you're saying this team hasn't been anywhere in 28 years. They're supposed to be this, and this, but they haven't been that or anything for a long time. I'm the guy that can do it. They're right. So there's the other side of that pancake too. If you're Ben Johnson, now he said he's going to be selective, and dealing with Jerry Jones isn't easy. And maybe Jerry Jones doesn't want to make that big of a splash by hiring someone that may take the attention away from him. We have to be honest about that too.
Right.
That's a possibility. But that's why I think that there's a possibility. I don't want to see it that Mike Zimmer gets that job. That might happen. I don't want to see that. Kellen Moore is a possibility, and I think Al Harris is a possibility. He's going to be on the staff. I think no matter what, whoever comes in, I would make Al Harris assistant head coach. He's a future head coach somewhere. So I think those are possibilities, but I still would rather have somebody young in there, new. Try something new. Don't try to retread like Mike Zimmer. He's no disrespect to him. He's been in the league a long time. He's done a good job where he's been at, but I don't want to see him be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
I would go with Troy Aikman.
Yeah, there's no way there's no way there's no way. And if you think about it, back in the day, remember this when he played. He said his dad barely gave him any praise at all. His dad was an oilman, man, when an oilman, right? Worked in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Chopped off a finger one time and kept working. This guy was one of those guys. So Aikman was a perfect. That's why he loved Jimmy so much and didn't care for Switzer, because Jimmy was going to make you work. Jimmy was not happy with just winning. Jimmy wanted to dominate. When Switzer came in, all hell broke loose. Barry, he didn't have the same swag he did at Oklahoma. He never had that. He had lost that. So I think that's Aikman. There's no way. He's in the booth. He's making nice money. There's no way he could coach these guys. There's no way he would. You saw him on the sidelines a couple of times, Anthony, going up and down. Hey, that's a bunch of crap. We can't block anybody. We didn't do this. That's when you could do that. You can't do that anymore. Somebody posted online today, the Cowboys need a hard ass coach. They don't listen to hard asses anymore, man.
Well, they lost out on Mike Vrabel because now he is the number 16th coach in franchise history for the New England Patriots. So we missed out on that one.
You know what? He would have been nice. I would have liked him. I think he might have had a chance, but yeah.
So I heard two other names on talk radio, not today, but in past weeks. I've heard these names: Doug Peterson and last resort, Ron Rivera. Now, the reason they said Doug Peterson, now, if you look at his regular season record, it sucks. I mean, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole when it comes to the regular season. But when it comes to postseason, when you look at his record compared to McCarthy, his postseason record is actually better. And he does have the one Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that was the case for him, which I'm like, okay, yes, I know we're trying to make a deep run, get to the Super Bowl, but I don't want to get into the playoffs with a 8-9 record either. I want to make sure we dominate our division. I'm, still in page from Deion Sanders. Dominate. I want to dominate the division. Then I want to make a deep run in the playoffs. Then I want to get to the Super Bowl. Plain and simple. And I don't know if Doug Peterson would be that man either, although he does have a nice playoff record. Playoffs?
Yeah. Hard pass on him. Possibility Rivera gets maybe a blink, maybe a quick two blinks. I don't see it. I don't see him. He just got dismissed last year as a Commanders coach. I don't see that. But Peterson, no way. I don't see there's no chance of that. He just got fired at Jacksonville, so I don't see that. I think there's more likely Kellen Moore, Zimmer, or Al Harris. Say that he's looking. That I'm only speculating. Someone mentioned Sarkisian at Texas, one of my friends, and he said he had heard that. I don't see that either. I don't. I don't see him. He's never gone to the college ranks. Well, he did Switzer, but Switzer had been out at Oklahoma for years. So I don't see that. I don't see that one. I don't. But who knows in the next couple of days, because they're going to have to get a coach here quick. New England fired Mayo and Jared Mayo, and then they hired Mike Vrabel pretty quick. So it's not going to be long, and Jerry Jones can have the Cowboys. He's going to milk it for as long as he can, because any publicity is good publicity, right? Straight out of Compton. Remember that line,
right?
So he's going to milk it. He loves it, man. He loves having his team, and even though they haven't won, and again, remember this, for everybody listening, the Cowboys haven't been anywhere, won anything. Multiple players and coaches have come and gone during that time frame. The one common denominator is Jones, and everybody can say what they want. He's not on the field, but anybody else with that record as the general manager would have been fired a long time ago. We know he's not going anywhere. That's just the way it is. He's going to have to be carried out, and this is a big decision again. I was surprised. You got a coach that won 12 games 3 years in a row, and he won 7 this year with a roster that was depleted, had a lot of injuries. A lot of guys were out. And he still won 7. I thought he was coming back. So this is a pretty big decision. A lot of people, you and I being to big Cowboy fans expect big things, and they haven't delivered for a long time. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens, but it's going to be very interesting, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, any other takes on any coaching moves? I mean, what's your thoughts on New England and their move on getting Vrabel?
I think they're showing it now on ESPN. I think it's a solid move. He's been around. He's coached at Tennessee. I think it's a solid move. If you look at it, their success, what 6 Super Bowls was tied to Brady and Belichick, and Brady, that guy was a great quarterback. And before that, think about when you remember they weren't very good at all. They'd been a Super Bowl appearance with against Patriots in '86, and they got stomped. And after that, they hadn't had much success until they drafted Tom Brady in the 7th round. And who could have predicted that? He told Robert Kraft, Tom Brady did, "This is the best decision you'll ever make. You'll see." And a 7th rounder is telling him that, or 6th rounder, whatever he was. And it came to pass. When Belichick lost Brady, his fortunes changed pretty quick. You've got to have that quarterback, man. That's why you're saying Ben Johnson is going to look at situations. And, Chicago might be an opportunity for him to go develop Caleb Williams over there. They've got a young quarterback there, so he might look at that job there. Ben Johnson, I'm talking about, and say, "Hey, man, this is a position I might want to go to." I'm sure that they've talked to him. Mike McCarthy, by the way, Anthony, won't stay out long. He'll be employed. Somebody's going to hire him quick. So, I think Vrabel's a good hire for New England, and I know you, being a big Cowboy fan like me, when the Lakers hired J.J. Redick, I'm a big Laker fan. I'm not impressed. I'm not. The guy never coached before, but it's not J.J. Redick's fault that the Lakers roster is still the same way it was 4 years ago. Still, they haven't done much change there. So, if you look at the Dallas roster, any coach that's coming in, you've got a quarterback that's going to be there. He's solid. People say whatever they want. They need to upgrade some positions. They probably need another second wide receiver to CeeDee Lamb. I thought Jake Ferguson at the tight end I thought he developed more by now.
Right.
They probably need a couple of. My friend thinks they're okay at the tackles, but I think Terrence Steele at right tackle is not what he was. So they've got changes, especially Overshown. The linebacker who played great this year may not play next season.
Right.
Diggs, the cornerback, is going to have another surgery. They've got some issues there. They've got some roster considerations to make. So whoever that new coach is, man, good luck as all. And I think we'll find out in the next 2 or 3 days who it's going to be, because they got to move quick.
I can see Jones dragging this thing out to like the week of the Super Bowl, because
there's no way, Anthony. You can't do that, man.
He can't do that.
Talking about the draft and scouting. Right. You can't do that.
Right. He can't do that. But would you put it past Jones to do something like that?
God, you know what? If he does, look, like I said, it's I wouldn't, because he likes the publicity. But here's the thing: everybody wants to blame Dak. It's Dak. You and I are a member of several different Cowboy groups online. Dak this, Dak that. We just talked about it's been 28 years since they won anything, and there's been one common denominator there, and it's him. So, he didn't sign Derrick Henry this year, and he had a chance to do that. And you've seen what Derrick Henry's done.
Oh,
man, give him credit. He got over 1,000 yards, but he's no Derrick Henry. He's no Zeke Elliott. When Zeke was, they signed Zeke Elliott. That was a horrible signing. The Elliott is finished. He's been finished for 3 years. So, they want to blame a lot of things on Dak, and he comes in for some of this blame. But the guy that makes the moves and signs the checks didn't make any great moves during the offseason. So,
but he's all in.
That's the other thing too, though. Your point there about if Ben Johnson comes, whoever, and Ben Johnson says, "Look, what did he do last year?" He has to think about that. He has to say he didn't sign. How's he going to make this roster in their conversations if he even gets an interview? And he should, but Jerry, that ego, we don't know. But if you're the new coach coming in, you would ask, what are we going to do with this, and this, right? You would say that. How are we going to make this better? Because he had opportunities to make the roster better in the offseason, and he didn't do it.
Make the Cowboys great again. Forget America. Make the Cowboys great again. If you make the Cowboys great again, America will fall in line, because that's America's team.
Yeah, well, don't tell Donald Trump, man. I won't tell you what I think about that, because this is a sports show, so I won't tell you my take on that.
I seen the funniest thing. I seen a picture of Trump and Obama sharing a laugh together.
Well, I had to look at that, and I told my wife this. I said, I wonder what Michelle Obama said because she wasn't a big fan of Donald Trump at all. So I mean, what's Barack going to do? He's sitting next to Donald Trump. He's not, he can't really just be cold. But I wonder what Michelle said when he got home. I just have to wonder because she's,
What?
as you well know, not a big fan of Donald Trump after all the things he said about Barack Obama not being a citizen, things like that. I mean, I wouldn't be a fan of the guy either. I'm
Well,
not a fan, but I won't tell you exactly what I think because this is a political, it's not a political show.
right, right,
Call me up on a political link. I'll let it rip, baby, but not
right.
today.
Not today, right? I get
Yeah.
you. Cause the funny thing, all right. So I made joke of this, and I hope for the people that listen to me, I hope they take it as humor. But the scene when George Bush was coming in and Barack got up, give up his seat, and he kind of pat him in the chest like, "You sit down there." I'm like, wow. Now there was a time a black man would have to give up his seat for a white man. Now this time the white man told the black man to sit on back down.
And look, man, some of that's history. Look, and there's there's some laughs that George W. Bush didn't even uh, look at Trump. He didn't even
He
have
didn't even look at him and said, "No, you sit on down. You
that's
keep your seat."
that's his whatever. Bush didn't want to do that, but you know what? It's you laughed about it, but look, and all due respect to you and due respect to everybody, that was a time that if it wasn't for Rosa Parks, we don't know.
Right, right. So
So all praise, Martin Luther King Day next Monday, and that's the inauguration of Donald Trump again. But all due respect to the civil rights, fighters of the past. So
right,
yeah, I mean, I take those things very seriously,
and
man. I
and,
wasn't
and you know
political
it,
somebody.
and it's because of them. You and me can have this platform to sit here and
That's right.
talk
That's
sports.
right, man. And you know
So,
what? I'll keep fighting so we can have that. I'll keep
all
fighting
right,
it, man.
all right, good, good, good. So, what's going on in the sports scene out there in New Mexico with all things New Mexico? I know you're the voice of Western New Mexico, but you also have some insight on everything else because you are a. Let me. I want to make sure I get this right. You're a Lobo on the Lobo side, right?
Yeah, I am, and the New Lobos 14-3, the men's basketball team 14-3 and 6-0 in the Mountain West Conference, beating San Diego State on Saturday at the Pit, a game I was at, 62-48. So they're playing very well, and in New Mexico just hired a new football coach, Jason Eck from Idaho. He's from the Division II ranks, and I'll tell you one thing: I saw him at the Pit where the Lobos play on Saturday, and the guy was working the room like you can't believe, man. Our other coach, Bronco Mendenhall, left after only one season, and I go to a lot of those press conferences that we have, and Bronco Mendenhall doesn't like dealing with the media. I mean, he could coach football, but if you ask him a question, man. And Jason Eck is totally different. I saw him walking up and down the stairs of the Pit, high fiving everybody. His signal is Lobo up. He'll tell everybody Lobo up with his his pinky finger and his index finger, Lobo up. And I'm like, shoot, man, okay, I can buy into that. And New Mexico football has struggled here for years. They haven't had a winning season since 2016. And the Lobo men's basketball team, the fans love them here. The Pit was 15,000 strong on Saturday. And so, yeah, right now New Mexico's playing well, and we were thinking they might get some votes to be ranked in the top 25. So yeah, things are going well here, and Western New Mexico is in Silver City, where I'm the voice. Is the men and women's basketball teams have had some injuries and defections, and their both teams have really had struggles, this year.
Well, Ed, I want to say thank you for joining me, even though I'm on the video side, but we're gonna get this thing figured out to where we can have your face up on here as well too.
Oh yeah, man, I do that Pit Press podcast all the time, as you know. So yeah, we'll do it the next time for sure, and maybe the next time
Right.
when we're
So
here the next couple of days, Dallas hires a coach. You can call me back. We'll do it again.
we'll do this again. Like I said, we're gonna do the video version. That way everybody can see my guest once we figure out because you probably know more about that technology than I do. I did my part to send a link to you. So uh, I'm gonna send next time I'm just gonna send you a message, say, all right, let's try to do this video thing. So look forward to doing that as well too. So
You got it, brother. Well, I appreciate you having me on as always, man. I really
all
do.
right, all right, Lobo up, as you say.
Lobo up, baby, every time.
All right,
All right, man.
all right. Ed Nunez joining me via telephone, talking about some things out there in New Mexico. Yeah, we're Dallas Cowboy fans, and it was painful, very painful this season. But I want to get back to my high school because Tuesday night is a big game, and I already did my podcast. I had Robert Kelly on, great guest, great insight, and he brought some very important factors. I'm pretty sure it'll be a close game, but from which team is more loaded than the other? Now, Zoe, I believe she has an uncanny ability to will her team to victory, and that's not diminishing some of the other players on the team. Uh, I don't have the stats before me, but I know they have one person averaging like double figures in. I think it's Ella Rudy. I believe that's the name, averaging like 11 rebounds a game. So she's a force in the paint. But I think when it comes down to it, Heights just might have more weapons and more depth than Capon. But I don't think it's going to diminish the fact that I believe it's going to be a very entertaining game, one in which I could go to. Due to my work obligations, I won't be able to go to those games. But the next time around, I definitely want to see Capon versus Heights. Uh, I want to say to all of those that I had the chance to meet out there at the ABCTL GWAL Challenge, I want to say thank you for letting me interact. Some of y'all approached me and some said, "Yeah, we've been watching you. Uh, thank you for what you were doing." I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing if it had not been for y'all. And y'all give me the motivation to keep doing what I'm doing because y'all appreciate what I do. And in turn, I appreciate y'all for y'all's appreciation. Uh, I'll say this proudly. I am I am kinfolk with Samaya Ellis. So her dad had sent me a Facebook request. I'm like, who is this? I said, I don't know this person. And I'm like, okay, let me see who this is. So I looked at their profile. Then I seen Smile was on there. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, we family. So it's good to be claimed as family. And had the chance to meet him, and it was a good conversation. And both conversations I had with Samaya Ellis's dad and Zoe Franklin's people, it all shifted from what they do on the court to what they do in the classroom. And it's always important. Like when I have them on my podcast, I always ask them this question: what's your grade point average? And emphasize the importance of an education. And all my guests who have I asked that question to, whether it be football players, whether it be basketball players, both girls and boys, they all have the wherewithal to know that at the end of the day, that ball is going to have to stop bouncing. At some point, a lid is going to be over that. A lid is going to be over that basket. Sports is only going to take you so far, whereas your education can take you a little bit further. So I want to say to the parents, thank you for allowing me to interact, have these young people on my podcast. The reason I say my podcast is number one, the state of Kansas. It's plain and simple for this reason right here. I give young student athletes a voice, but not without them emphasizing education. And the other reason it's number one is because of my great guest. And I can also give you a third reason why come it's number one in the state of Kansas. Because of you who take the time out to listen. That right there is also what makes it number one. You may listen to some other podcasts, but at the time that you are listening to mine, at that particular time, whenever you decide to listen to it, at that time you have made it number one. And I have to emphasize, just because I say mine is the number one podcast in the state of Kansas, doesn't mean that I'm diminishing anybody else, especially if you're advocating high school sports and hopefully giving these young people a voice. I can't knock that. I'm not even competing against y'all. There is no competition because we're all doing the same thing, podcasting and making sure these young people have a voice to be heard. So, once again, thanks to my buddy out there in the land of entrapment, Ed Nunez. Kind of deviate a little bit, but that's what you get on the video version. You get a little bit of local, you get a little bit of regional, get a little bit of national talk. Uh, Once again, Mike McCarthy no longer coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So the search starts for a new coach. But until the next time, which may be tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your evening. And until the next game that I may pop up at, stay safe. I do believe I have someone that would be able to make my shirts for me. So that way, next time I have a guest on my podcast version, my guest will get an A Train Sports Talk podcast shirt to show that they've been on the train. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. God bless. I'm out of here.